Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a former U.S. Air Force intelligence specialist is being accused of spying for Iran. We'll bring you the full story next.
And it has been cold and rainy in Rockbridge County this week. Crawford Humphreys will let us know what to expect for the forecast this weekend with his full weather report later on.
Did you get your significant other something special this Valentine's Day? Jimmy Johnson will have a live report on just how much preparation goes into this day of love.
And sports anchor John Ike has details on a blockbuster quarterback move in the NFL and the latest in local sports. All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good evening and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Adid Ahmed.
And I'm Catherine Young.
We have breaking news tonight. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says President Donald Trump has indicated he's prepared to sign the government funding bill and declare a national emergency on the border. McConnell said the Senate will soon vote on the bill that's needed to avoid a partial federal shutdown tomorrow. The compromise measure keeps departments running through the fiscal year, but without the $5.7 billion Trump wanted for the border wall with Mexico. The House is also expected to vote on the bill later today. Trump's assent would end a raucous legislative saga that commenced before Christmas and saw Trump force a record 35-day partial federal shutdown.
A former U.S. Air Force intelligence specialist is being accused of spying for Iran. The charges against Monica Witt were unsealed in federal court Wednesday. CNN's Barbara Starr reports.
A former U.S. Air Force intelligence specialist who disappeared and was believed to be in Iran is now wanted by the FBI for spying on behalf of the Islamic Republic. 39-year-old Monica Witt, who had access to top-secret information, including names of U.S. intelligence officers, defected to Iran in 2013 and was once thought to be missing. But instead, the Justice Department says she was recruited by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Monica Witt provided the Iranian government with the identities of employees in the U.S. intelligence community who were operating covertly.
The Justice Department says Witt worked with Iran to target at least 8 U.S. government agent computer accounts in order to deploy malware that would provide access to computers and networks used by the U.S. intelligence community. The U.S. also alleges Witt created target packages for Iran to identify and track down U.S. government agents. This week, Iran marks 40 years since the Islamic Revolution brought the current regime to power. And the rhetoric from the Trump administration is getting hotter.
I don't think you'll have many more anniversaries to enjoy.
But I appreciate you, Judge.
The hawkish language from National Security Advisor John Bolton is at odds with the Pentagon, according to a senior military official. The official said the military is seeking to avoid open conflict with Iran and rely instead on economic and diplomatic pressure. Military commanders believe Bolton, who worked for President George W. Bush during the Gulf War, is more strident and has a proclivity for action in the Gulf, the official said. But in an exclusive television interview, the top Navy commander for the region says the threat is real.
We see several capabilities there. They have a growing capability in cruise missiles. They have a growing capability in ballistic missiles. They have a growing capability in unmanned surface systems.
The Trump administration lashed out at some of America's closest traditional allies today at a Middle East conference in Poland, accusing Britain, France, and Germany of trying to bust U.S. sanctions against Iran and calling on European nations to join the United States in withdrawing from the Iranian nuclear deal. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence slammed the three countries and the European Union as a whole for remaining part of the Iranian nuclear deal after President Donald Trump withdrew from it last year. He called on European nations to join the U.S. in withdrawing from the deal. The harsh criticism threatens to further strain U.S.-European ties that are already tense over numerous issues.
A funding deal to prevent a partial government shutdown isn't the only piece of legislation getting a lot of attention. The Green New Deal is generating plenty of talk, especially among Democrats eyeing the White House in 2020. CNN's Jessica Dean has the story.
As the 2020 Democratic field takes shape, fault lines are emerging over the party's leftward shift on policy. The latest example, a split over support for the Green New Deal resolution introduced by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey that calls for tackling climate change.
We should do it because we are an example to the world.
The divide appears to fall along geographic lines, with Midwestern contenders voicing more measured approaches, while coastal candidates offer full-throated endorsements. While Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar is a co-sponsor of the bill, she framed the Green New Deal as more aspirational.
I'm in favor of it simply because I see it as a framework to jumpstart a discussion. I don't see it as something that we can get rid of all these industries or do this in a few years. But what does make sense to me is to start doing concrete things and put some aspirations out there on climate change.
Unlike Klobuchar, Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, who is considering a run in 2020, has not committed to supporting the Green New Deal plan.
I'm not going to take a position on every bill that's coming out. I support a Green New Deal. I think we need to aggressively support climate change.
4 other Senate Democrats eyeing 2020 have signed on as co-sponsors of the proposal: Kamala Harris of California, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Cory Booker of New Jersey, and Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. On Capitol Hill Wednesday, Harris reiterated her support for the resolution.
I support the Green New Deal.
In a CNN town hall on Tuesday, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, who's weighing a bid as an independent, called the Green New Deal not realistic.
Let's not just throw stuff against a wall because it's a good slogan or we get a press release. Let's be truthful.
Meantime, the Democratic field continues to expand to include a record number of women. Booker says he expects the party's gender and racial diversity will be reflected on the Democratic ticket going forward, but he refused to commit to choosing a woman as his running mate if he becomes the nominee.
I'm not going to box myself in, but should I become it, I'll be looking to women first.
Google plans to invest more than $13 billion this year on new and expanded data centers and offices across the U.S. Google will build centers in Nevada, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio, South Carolina, and here in Virginia. The construction of the new centers will likely employ around 10,000 workers. The company will have a physical presence in 24 states by the end of the year. And while Google keeps expanding, Amazon just canceled plans to open HQ2 in New York today. Spokeswoman Jody Seth said in a statement that after much thought and deliberation, we've decided not to move forward with our plans to build a headquarters for Amazon in Long Island City, Queens. Amazon noted in the statement that opposition from state and local politicians contributed to the decision, but said it will still be moving forward with the opening of an Amazon hub in Nashville. They have no plans to reopen the search for a second headquarters.
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the Parkland shooting. Thousands of people shared in a moment of silence today to honor the 17 people that died in the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. And 1 year after the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history, a tense debate continues over how to protect students in classrooms. Natasha Chen takes a look at lessons learned and the movement that was sparked by the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting.
First responders have arrived on campus for a breakfast to honor them, and students who have come to campus today are doing a half day of service, along with a moment of silence to remember the victims.
You know, it felt like any other day, but this day is 1 year ago when Alyssa was brutally shot down and taken from our hearts.
1 year ago, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School community was forever changed in a span of 5.5 minutes when a former student shot and killed 17 students and staff members. A commission found some of the people who were there failed to confront the shooter. The school resource officer resigned, and Governor Ron DeSantis suspended the Broward County Sheriff.
More important, they want the problems fixed going forward.
Going forward, the students have made sure their story is one of survival and change. A year in the life of survivors performing at the Tony Awards, receiving honors, and gracing magazine covers. But that's because of how they've turned pain into action.
Fight for your lives before it's someone else's job.
Students marched on Washington and toured the country with gun violence prevention rallies.
There are people that got elected because they said, I'm going to make it my priority to prevent gun violence.
Since the shooting, 26 state legislatures and Washington, D.C. have passed gun control measures. But on the federal level, it's unlikely for the Republican-controlled Senate to pass similar bills.
And it is very painful, but I continue to be Alyssa's voice and fight for Alyssa and fight for change.
Just on Tuesday, Democrats in the House proposed a bill that would ban any magazines exceeding 10 rounds of ammunition. So far, there are no Republican co-sponsors of that bill. In Parkland, Florida, Natasha Chen, back to you.
In local news, Rockbridge Area Community Services is about to start spending a grant from Virginia for an opioid recovery program. The treatment combines a drug called Suboxone with counseling. The FDA says Suboxone is effective when combined with counseling. RACS is the first provider of the drug in Rockbridge County.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, Lexington drivers sick of road detours? We have an update on how long construction on West Washington Street will continue.
We've avoided snow here in Lexington for most of January and all of February thus far. However, that is soon to change with snow in the forecast this weekend and early next week. We'll have more on the forecast coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
In local news, you can still expect road closures in Lexington. West Washington Street will remain closed to through traffic next week until February 22nd due to the water main upgrade project.
The Rockbridge area isn't the only part of the country experiencing cold weather recently. A vicious cold blast is crawling across the U.S., bringing plenty of snow and ice. John Lawrence reports.
Wintry weather from coast to coast.
I'm ready for spring. There's no question about that. It can't come soon enough.
Roughly 75 million Americans are under some kind of winter alert this week, and inclement weather resulted in thousands of flight cancellations and delays on Tuesday. Among the states getting pounded with up to a foot of snow, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
Kind of hard outside, like the ice, but I kind of like it because it's like a little workout for me. But others may think it's not that good, but I kind of like it. I'm a snow guy.
In Chicago, falling ice forced city officials to shut down a couple of streets for safety reasons. Residents of the Northeast received various forms of precipitation, rain, freezing rain, and snow. Meanwhile, Mammoth Mountain in California is making the most of the snow. The ski resort is boasting 210 inches of snow and says its ski season will last at least until July 4th. Snow even landed in Hawaii, where some summits got a dusting. For those keeping watch, spring officially starts in just over a month.
Yeah, it's getting a little dreary. I will own that. But, I do love the change of seasons.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Catherine Crawford, I know it's been snowing over there, but the other day it was raining and I lost my umbrella, which was a bit of a bummer for me.
Although today it was relatively dry. Crawford, what can we expect moving forward?
It was a dry day today, but sadly that is not expected to last, with snow predicted not only this weekend, but early into next week. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll start with our live shot of downtown Lexington, Virginia. It was a little cloudy today, but that did not stop the temperatures from getting close to 60. But this is going to be our warmest day for a while. It was a low of 30 degrees this morning. I woke up to that. 30.01 inches of mercury is the barometric pressure. The wind speed not making things any colder with that wind chill, only 6 miles per hour of wind and 37% humidity. As we take a look at our local radar, you see that sizable cell moving in West Virginia. That's what we've got our eyes on as we look at the snow prediction for this weekend. Take a look at the local conditions around the area. 47 degrees in Lexington, 47 in Buena Vista, but however, Roanoke 56, Lynchburg 55, those are the warmest areas in the region with that nice weather. And we'll finish up with our 5-day forecast. As I said earlier, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all snow is in the forecast. However, the temperatures will be around 40, so it might not stick, but we will see that winter precipitation. Friday, 59 degrees, our last day, so we'll soak it up and enjoy it while we can. Catherine and Adit, back to you guys.
Thanks, Crawford. Coming up, how much have you spent on your loved ones this Valentine's Day? A new study shows Valentine's spending has reached unprecedented levels this year.
But it is the single most hectic day.
We'll give you more on how local businesses prepare for this holiday.
And why this holiday is not filled with love for everyone this year. All that and more after the break. Valentine's Day is not going to be a day of love for everyone this year. A New York Times report says 7 women have claimed singer-songwriter Ryan Adams offered to help them with their music careers, but then turned things sexual, and he became very emotionally and verbally abusive. In the story published Wednesday, a 20-year-old female musician said Adams, 44, had inappropriate conversations with her when she was 15 and 16 years old. Identified by her middle name as Ava, she said that Adams exposed himself during a video call. Adams' ex-wife, actress and singer Mandy Moore, said Adams was psychologically abusive toward her throughout their marriage. Their divorce was official in 2016. Adams apologized in a tweet yesterday.
But if you're in a happy relationship, Valentine's Day is usually an expensive gift-giving day. But this year, spending is expected to reach unprecedented levels. That's according to an annual survey that was just released. Are you breaking the bank this Valentine's Day? You're not alone. According to the National Retail Federation, the average person will spend about $162 to shower their significant other with love. That's an expected record-breaking total of $20.7 billion.
This is up from last year's record of $19.6 billion.
The survey finds men will do the most spending at a little over $229. Women will spend significantly less, slightly under $100. Although people still prefer experiences over materialistic things, they still want the traditional gifts like candy, flowers, or going out to an old-fashioned greeting card.
What people will spend the most on are things like jewelry, an evening out, whether that's tied to a gift or just an event in and of itself.
Despite the high spending levels, the survey found fewer Americans will celebrate the holiday this year, only 51% compared to 55% last year. But those who will be celebrating are spreading the love further.
People have really expanded the definition of who they're celebrating on Valentine's Day. Now it's also about celebrating your coworkers, your friends, your kids' classmates or teachers.
That includes pets. The survey found that 20% of those surveyed said they plan to buy a gift for their furry loves.
Local businesses are scrambling to keep up with customers rapidly buying Valentine's Day staples, like chocolates and flowers, to gift their loved ones. Jimmy Johnson spoke with local business owners to learn how they keep up this holiday.
Today is the day of chocolates, flowers, and love. Americans will spend an average of $160 on Valentine's Day gifts, and in Lexington, Cupid's spirit is strong.
The beginning of the year is normally cold and dreary, but Valentine's Day sparks people into getting out and about in Lexington. For businesses, this holiday is a week-long affair. University Florist co-owner Carolyn Tolley says they start preparing for Valentine's Day during the 3rd week of January. The extensive prep work is never enough.
But it is the single most hectic day, and we always feel that we never conquer it. We always feel we survive it.
Chocolate is another essential item for Valentine's Day. Cocoa Mill Chocolate Company co-owner Laura DiMaria says many people come into her shop last minute.
Because all of a sudden people wake up and it's like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, even though it's been on the calendar, for a year, and it happens on the same date every year. Everybody knows that, but suddenly it's, the deer caught in the headlights. I got to have my chocolate.
Lexington resident Rusty Smith bought his chocolates on Tuesday evening to avoid the last-minute rush.
They tend to run out of the better stuff if you wait until the last day.
Smith has been married for 38 years. For him, Valentine's Day is a chance to show his appreciation for loved ones.
It means it's a time to make your wife feel special, and the other women in my life too, my 5 granddaughters. I want to say a special happy Valentine's Day to all of you girls.
Both Tolly the florist and DiMaria the candy maker said they each make about $25,000 during the Valentine's Day period, but increased labor costs lower the profit. Tolly said seeing grateful customers gets her through the stressful day.
You know what we really look forward to in this business is knocking on someone's door and giving them flowers that very seldom receive flowers.
In Lexington, Valentine's Day brings joy to both the busy merchants and thoughtful consumers. Bistro and other restaurants are serving Valentine's Day specials, and University Florist will be extending its hours until 7 p.m. this evening. Live from downtown, I'm Jimmy Johnson III.
Thanks, Jimmy. Next on the Rockbridge Report, the MVP of the Baltimore Ravens is heading to Colorado. We'll give you more on this story.
And a look at local sports after the break.
NASA's Opportunity, the Mars rover that was built to operate for just 3 months but kept going and going, rolling across the rocky red soil, was pronounced dead yesterday, 15 years after it landed on the planet. The 6-wheeled vehicle that helped gather critical information about Mars was finally doomed by a ferocious dust storm. Flight controllers tried numerous times to make contact and sent one final series of recovery commands Tuesday night, along with one last wake-up song, Billie Holiday's I'll Be Seeing You, but there was no response from space, only silence. In the end, Opportunity outlived its twin by 8 years and set endurance and distance records that could stand for decades. It roamed a record 28 miles and worked longer than any other lander in the history of space exploration.
Catherine, John, I don't know about you, but I've been pretty excited to see Tom Brady and the New England Patriots as this year's Super Bowl champions after their win last week.
I'm also thrilled that the Patriots are Super Bowl champs once again, but our friends up in Baltimore are certainly upset to see their beloved quarterback Joe Flacco leave.
Well, Catherine and Edith, the offseason started just over a week ago, but the Denver Broncos have already made big moves in picking up a Super Bowl caliber quarterback from Baltimore. Let's jump into sports. The Ravens agreed to trade the veteran quarterback Joe Flacco in exchange for a 4th-round pick in this year's NFL Draft. Flacco was the MVP of the 2013 Super Bowl, but he became expendable in Baltimore with the emergence of rookie Lamar Jackson, the former Louisville star who led the Ravens into the playoffs after Flacco got hurt. Flacco has 3 years and $63 million left on his contract, with a salary of $18.5 million next season. His salary is the 10th highest for his position in the NFL. And for our local varsity sports, the Rockbridge County boys basketball team will play Western Albemarle tomorrow in the regional quarterfinals. The Wildcats are the 7th-seeded team in Region 3C, and the Warriors are the 2nd-seeded team. RCHS lost to Fort Defiance on Friday, 42-40. The RCHS girls basketball team will also play tomorrow at Brookville. But the Wildcats lost their championship game to Spotswood yesterday with a final score of 75-42. Spotswood went undefeated in the district and RCHS was 6th seeded. But the Wildcats won their tight game against Fort Defiance on Monday, 52-49. The Perry McClure girls basketball team took home a big victory yesterday against Eastern Montgomery. Final score, 80 points to 8 points for the Mustangs. The Fighting Blues will play the Narrows tomorrow night. Meanwhile, the Perry McClure boys basketball team will play tonight against Covington. And in collegiate sports, the Washington and Lee men's basketball team won their game yesterday against Randolph College, 93-66. The team will play again tomorrow against Guilford College. The women's basketball team also took home a victory yesterday against Bridgewater, 80-61. The Generals will play Ferrum College tomorrow. The Southern Virginia University men's basketball team lost their game against the University of Mary Washington yesterday, 66-41. The Knights will play St. Mary's on Saturday. The SVU women's basketball team also lost to Mary Washington yesterday, 66-53. And the team will also play St. Mary's on Saturday. Finally, the Virginia Military Institute men's basketball team will play Wofford College tomorrow. The Keydets lost their game against Samford University on Saturday, 84-77. That's all for sports. Back to you, Catherine and Edith.
That's all for today's Rockbridge Report. Thanks for watching. Join us again February 26th at 3:30 for the next live news update, or check out our website anytime for the latest news at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu.